And the Asian diaspora is important for us to appreciate. This is a term that's applied to Asian Americans in general, but more to the Filipino experience in specific. Now, the term diaspora is complex, but it generally includes being a minority in a host country and recreating a home in new surroundings. The policies created by Western imperialism in part explains why there exists an Asian and Pacific American diaspora. And this is important because, students, you are reading about the Caribbean and Latin American diaspora. It is because of U.S. imperialism. U.S. foreign policy in Asia and the Pacific is responsible for creating the Asian and Pacific American diaspora in the North American continent. So please get to know this. Now, students, you are reading an interpretation of Chinese women's experiences with prostitution. Now, I encourage you to think about why prostitution, why this profession was so crucial to the continuation of Chinese culture in the United States after the Chinese Exclusion Act. How is it that these women participated in and found their subsistence from not only their quote-unquote undocumented, or what we refer to as illegal immigrant experience, but also here is this extra legal profession. So not only are they undocumented workers, but they are also involved in a profession that society seems to look down upon. It is an illegal profession. So it's called sex trafficking, and it still bothers the Asian community today because it's still part of the Asian expression. Traditional Asian cultures at the turn of the 20th century are unfamiliar with women's roles in capitalist forms of exchange. Traditional Asian cultures emphasize women's familial virtues as being more important to fulfilling spiritual harmony than in finding economic exchange on the market. So in this ways, Asian women subordinated their economic role for survival to the men. Now, the stereotype is that they are to be quiet in public and never look at the eye of the American male, except perhaps in deference. When you take a look at Asian American female literary artists, and they write about themes surrounding women's reconciled values that are learned from home with those from the American outer world. For instance, to Vicky Nam, silence reflected in Asian women's public persona represents a deep, friendly connection that characterizes familial relations. And this is part of the Asian diaspora. And in the same breath, she emphasizes that Asian women become trapped by the silence. This is a significant theme in the writing of female Asian American literary artists. Now, Asian women were expected to appear stoic in public, to appear silent and devoid of feeling. Now, Asian women in their respective cultures, though, are known as storytellers, and their public silence reflected a quiet documentation of family and community history. It is a history filled with prejudice, discrimination, segregation, and the hatred against their being. So, when we take a look at these stereotypes of Pacific women, of Hawaiian women dancing in their hulas, of Chinese prostitutes, of Filipina prostitutes, of Japanese geisha girls, of Hindu virgins with red dots, of women in Muslim scarves. For many women, the flexibility of their identities lay in the constant migration of populations and the interethnic relations in that diaspora. Okay, so when we've understood certain things, let's appreciate the yellow beans